One mistake, 1 second, one turn of the wheel. That's all it takes for a normal drive to become a final one. Tonight, these aren't hypothetical warnings or crash test simulations. These are real collisions, recorded, replayed, and watched back after it was already too late. What you're about to hear are the most horrific car crashes ever recorded. Moments where cameras kept rolling as control disappeared, physics took over, and lives ended in seconds. Night drive. No margin. It was just after midnight, on a divided highway outside a mid-size American city. Traffic was light. The road looked forgiving. The driver was in his early 20s, no criminal record, no plan to die. He was heading home after a long shift, tired but confident he could make it. His dashcam had been installed weeks earlier, for insurance. Yea, not notoriety. The footage begins calmly. Headlights carve a narrow tunnel through darkness. The radio hums. The speed creeps slightly above the limit. There's a warning sign. For half a second, the car drifts toward the center line. The tires correct. Nothing dramatic. Most drivers would never think twice about it. What he didn't realize was that fatigue doesn't announce itself all at once. It arrives in fragments. The dashcam shows the sequence clearly. 1. His eyes blink slower than before. 2. The steering wheel goes light in his hands. 3. The car crosses the center line again, this time farther. 4. Headlights appear. Fast, too fast. 5. A horn blares. 6. The wheel jerks hard right. 7. The tires lose grip. 8. The car snaps sideways. The point of no return happens in under 2 seconds. The camera captures the world tilting violently. The sound is not a scream, but metal folding. Bystanders arrive within moments. Someone calls 911 while filming stops abruptly. Emergency crews later confirm death at the scene. Cause: blunt force trauma from high-speed lateral impact. The footage was never meant to be public. It circulates anyway. A quiet reminder that exhaustion kills just as efficiently as speed. But the next crash wasn't quiet at all. The live stream that didn't end it was a late afternoon in an industrial district. Wide roads, long sight lines, and almost no pedestrians. The driver was a small-time streamer, not famous, not reckless by reputation. But chasing engagement, he went live to show followers his build, a modified performance car he'd poured months of money into. The chat scrolls fast, compliments, fire emojis, and one message repeats, "Open it up." He hesitates, laughs, then accelerates. What viewers didn't realize was how unforgiving that stretch of road really was. Uneven pavement, a shallow curve, and a concrete barrier placed just far enough back to invite speed. The livestream captures everything. 1. Speed climbing rapidly. 2. The engine screaming. 3. The chat exploding. 4. A bump in the road. 5. Rear wheels breaking traction. 6. The car fishtailing. 7. His laugh cutting off mid-word. The phone flies from its mount. Viewers hear impacts they can't see. Thuds, glass, silence. The stream continues for nearly a minute, pointed at nothing but darkness and smoke. First responders arrive. The stream is still live when police reach the vehicle. A moderator finally shuts it down. Official reports list excessive speed and loss of control. The platform removes the clip within hours, but copies remain. What stays with people isn't the crash itself. It's the moment chat messages keep appearing, after the driver is already gone. Wrong way, live TV. This one unfolded in real time, broadcast across an entire city. It began as a routine police pursuit. Late evening, stolen vehicle, highway on-ramp. News helicopters were already overhead. Anchors narrated calmly from the studio. Then the suspect made a choice. Instead of exiting, the car entered the highway against traffic. From the air, it looked surreal. Headlights moving the wrong direction, cars swerving violently to avoid impact. The pilot's voice tightens. The anchor stops speculating. Footage shows the moment clearly. 1. The suspect accelerates. 2. Oncoming traffic appears suddenly. 3. One car barely avoids collision. 4. Another doesn't. The impact happens at highway speed. The screen shakes. The helicopter pulls back. The studio goes silent. Emergency services respond instantly, but there's nothing to reverse. Multiple vehicles are involved. Several lives are lost, including people who had nothing to do with the chase. The broadcast cuts to commercial. When it returns, the tone is different, slower, heavy. Investigators later confirm impairment and reckless endangerment. Policies change about live pursuit coverage, but the footage never disappears, because once something happens live, it lives forever. The intersection. Everyone thought was safe. It was midday. Clear skies. Perfect visibility. The kind of conditions that make drivers feel invincible. A fixed traffic camera had been watching this intersection for years. Locals joked that it was a waste of money. Nothing ever happened there. No history. No reputation. Just another set of lights people passed through without thinking. That illusion didn't survive the afternoon. The driver was a middle-aged delivery contractor, not reckless by nature, just behind schedule. His GPS recalculated impatiently, urging a left turn across multiple lanes of traffic. He'd made that turn before, hundreds of times. Today felt no different. What he didn't realize was how fast the oncoming car was moving, or how unforgiving the geometry of the intersection really was. There was no generous buffer, no extra second built in for hesitation. The traffic camera captures everything with cold precision. The delivery van rolls forward into the intersection. It pauses, just long enough to suggest caution. Then it commits. From the right side of the frame, a blur appears. No braking lights, no time to react. The impact is violent, immediate, and final. The van crumples inward as debris scatters across the roadway. Cars screech to a halt. Bystanders spill from sidewalks, hands over mouths, running toward the wreckage. There's no audio, but it doesn't need sound to communicate the damage. The visuals say enough. Emergency crews arrive within minutes. One driver is pulled from the wreck alive but critically injured. The other never regains consciousness and is pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators later determine that failure to yield and excessive speed both played a role. Either factor alone might not have caused a fatal crash. Together, they erased every possible escape. But in the aftermath, the city installs new signals, warning lights, longer turn delays, safety improvements meant to prevent a repeat. But the camera keeps recording, and for two people, improvement comes far too late. Street race. No crowd. Needed. This wasn't organized. No spectators, no barricades, no countdown. Just two cars idling side by side at a red light and a challenge exchanged without words. The drivers were young, friends who had driven these streets 100 times. Their phones were already mounted, recording, not for safety, but for proof. Proof of speed. Proof of bragging rights. Proof that this moment mattered. The road felt safe because it was familiar, long, straight, empty enough to invite temptation. Street lights stretched ahead in a clean line, giving the illusion of control. When the light changed, both cars launched at the same time. The footage from one phone captures the buildup clearly. The engine surges. Acceleration pins the driver back into the seat. The speedometer climbs, past legal, past reasonable. The other car edges forward just slightly. That's when the hidden problem arrives. What they didn't account for was the elevation change, a shallow dip in the road that most drivers never notice at normal speed. At racing speed, it becomes a destabilizer. The suspension unloads. Tires lose contact for a fraction of a second. That fraction is enough. The camera shakes violently. The headlights snap sideways. The steering wheel jerks with no response. In the audio, Laughter turns into a sharp intake of breath, then screaming tires. One violent impact, and silence. The crash itself never appears on screen. The phone is thrown loose, capturing only darkness and distorted sound. The recording continues until the battery dies. Police later recover both phones from the wreckage. One driver survives with severe injuries. The other is pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators cite excessive speed and loss of control. Charges follow. Videos spread. Comment sections fill with arguments over fault and responsibility. But physics doesn't care about blame. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't forgive. Once the race starts, it only ends one way. The highway stop that turned deadly. This recording comes from Bodycam and Dashcam combined, and it starts like thousands of stops that happen every single day. It's early morning. The light is thin and gray. Traffic is moving, but not aggressively. The driver pulls over without argument. Anna easing onto what looks like a standard highway shoulder. Nothing feels urgent. Nothing feels dangerous. That assumption is the trap. What neither the driver nor the officer fully realized was how narrow that shoulder really was, and how little room exists when vehicles are still moving at highway speed just a few feet away. The footage unfolds in calm, procedural steps. First, the patrol car comes to a stop behind the vehicle. The officer opens the door. The bodycam activates automatically. You hear boots hit pavement. A semi-truck roars past, close enough to shake the frame. It's uncomfortable but not alarming. Yet. The officer starts walking toward the driver's window. Another large vehicle passes, then another. The wind from traffic tugs at clothing, at balance. The shoulder leaves no margin for error. What the cameras capture next happens in seconds. A vehicle in the right lane drifts just slightly. Not a swerve, not panic. Just a moment of inattention at full speed. The officer turns their head. The dashcam frame jolts. Impact. The bodycam rips free and hits the ground. The image spins wildly before settling on asphalt and blurred motion. Audio keeps recording. You hear shouting, someone yelling for help. Sirens layering over each other as more units arrive. The driver is screaming. The officer is down. Traffic finally stops, but far too late to matter. Investigators later determined that the passing driver never saw them in time. Speed and proximity did the rest. In the aftermath, departments review and update protocols, where stops should happen, how far vehicles must be moved off-road, when to wait instead of approach. But none of that changes what the footage already shows. Danger doesn't always announce itself with chaos or intent. Sometimes it's just being too close to something moving too fast to stop, seconds before the crash. This final one is brief, but devastating. It doesn't begin with a broadcast countdown or studio lights. It begins with a phone held at arm's length, a selfie taken from the driver's seat. The subject is smiling, relaxed, confident. The caption is casual, a joke about running late, maybe a shrug at responsibility. Nothing about it suggests danger, nothing suggests finality. The photo uploads instantly. What happens next isn't live-streamed. There's no audience in the moment, no chat, no producers watching meters, just seconds ticking away unnoticed. Less than a minute later, a nearby security camera captures the aftermath. Investigators would later reconstruct the sequence. The car accelerates slightly. The driver glances down, long enough to miss a curve that locals know well. The road narrows. There's no meaningful correction, no braking in time, just speed, distraction, and momentum working together. The impact happens off-screen for most people. What the camera records instead is the result. Debris scattered across asphalt, the sudden stillness after violence. Other drivers stop. Someone runs toward the wreck. Another pulls out a phone, not to film, but to call for help. Emergency responders arrive quickly, too quickly for hope to matter. Officials pronounce death at the scene. The cause is straightforward. Traumatic injuries from a high-speed collision. No evidence of mechanical failure. No outside involvement. Just a moment of attention taken from the road. The phone is recovered from the vehicle, still unlocked, still open. The selfie remains on screen. The timestamp confirms it, posted moments before impact. There was no live stream, no broadcast delay, no audience watching in real time. Just proof that the last thing shared with the world wasn't fear or regret, but confidence. A reminder that the most dangerous moments aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they look exactly like nothing at all. Every crash you heard tonight has one thing in common: not speed, not alcohol, not weather. It's the belief that nothing will happen this time. Cameras don't save lives. Replays don't rewind time. No clip, no stream, no rush is worth a life. If this stayed with you, watch the next video. And remember why caution exists in the first place.